Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Sam Dever Podcast, episode 59. In this episode, I speak with actor and podcaster Marley Freygang. Marley is the host of the podcast Confessions of a Wannabe It Girl, and this was a great conversation. Marley's been very successful at her podcast. She's been doing it for a long time. She's been very consistent. So I got a lot out of talking with her on what's made her successful in her podcast, and we talked all types of things from Disney to social media to mental health. And it was just a really great conversation. I'm really appreciative of her coming on. And shout out to Eric Sarich behind the camera there for connecting us and letting us have this conversation. The book of the episode is called Indistractable: How to Control Your Attention and Choose Your Life by Nir Eyal. I picked this book for book of the episode because Marley and I were talking about the pros and cons of social media and how it can be too much. And you really have to be conscious of how much of your attention's being taken from social media and these smartphones and all the technology out there. So, book of the episode, Indistractable by Nir Eyal. To listen to our podcasts, check us out on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. If you want to watch the podcasts, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@thesamdeverpodcast. Without further ado, here's my conversation with Marley. Marley Freygang, welcome to the Sam Dever Podcast.
Gosh. Thank you so much for having me, Sam.
No, absolutely. Well, back to what we were talking about.
Star Wars.
Which might dominate this entire episode. The end of Mandalorian Season 2. Mm-hmm. And spoiler alert.
Yeah.
When I saw Luke Skywalker, as a true Star Wars fan, I can't think of any more magical moment than that. There's a couple, but like... Mm-hmm. It was just Jon Favreau. He just knocked it out of the park with that whole thing, in my opinion.
I ruined it for myself. I had seen it on TikTok, and I was like,
the whole.
They were like how they like brought Luke back, and like D8, and I was like, no, because I wait to watch it with my parents because it used to kind of come out more towards Christmas time. Yeah, so I'd be home, and Star Wars is a big family thing. Yeah, so. Yeah, I ruined it for myself. But it's still a beautiful moment.
And I know his name's Grogu. And shout out to my girlfriend, Laura, for getting this for my birthday.
Great job, Laura.
I still call him Baby Yoda.
That's so funny. I was literally talking with my neighbor, and he was like, his wife is pregnant, and we were talking about baby clothes. And I was like, well, I'm going to get a lot of Grogu clothes. And he's like, I love that you call him Grogu and not the child. He's like, it really shows your shit. And I was like, yeah, thank you. I was like, cool.
Like you're messing with the pro here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like a pro. Like, I don't know all the planets or anything. I just do really like the franchise, and I like Star Wars. And
favorite Star Wars movie out of all?
Movie? This is a very uncommon answer. Is actually episode 1 because it's what got me into Star Wars.
Like 1-1 with Qui-Gon and...
Oh, no. Like 1-1 and... Yeah, Anakin, Qui-Gon, Liam Neeson.
Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, Natalie Portman, the whole thing.
Yeah, they just get a lot of criticism.
Gets a lot of hate.
They weren't that bad. Like, I didn't think so. I don't know. It ties everything together. They really do.
Well, also, like, I was... Did it come out in 2000?
Somewhere around there. I remember, somewhere in there.
So I was 5. Okay. So, like, the perspective, I didn't know the whole thing, whatever. I saw a kid on screen. Yeah. I, could really relate to it. I thought, I love Jar Jar. He also gets a lot of hate.
He gets a ton of hate.
He gets a ton of hate, and I think he's so funny. So, I don't know. I know that's, like, not a common answer, like, at all. And also, like, it's so funny looking back. I remember rewatching it as a teen, and I remember thinking, God, that Qui-Gon Jinn actor is so good. And it's like Liam Neeson.
Yeah, right?
It's so funny. But yeah, so I know that's not a popular answer, but I do really like, and I know the most about episode 1. I know that the guy who plays Darth Maul, like, doesn't say a single word, and who voices him isn't even the actor, and it's, I think, the same guy who does the voice for Scar.
Really?
In Lion King. I
could see that.
Yeah, it's just like, so weirdly, I'm attached to episode 1. And weirdly enough, though, the actor who plays Anakin in it, do you remember when kids, we, like, used to do Scholastic books? Yeah. Like, you could order them through your school. Oh, yeah. We got a behind-the-scenes Star Wars one. And I remember my mom reading it to me and telling me that Anakin was 12 in the movie when they shot it. And I was like, oh, by the time I'm 12, I'm going to be an actor. And it started some of my acting things. So yeah, I guess Star Wars means a lot to me.
Well, transitioning.
Yes.
So that got you into acting.
Yes. Like, I wish it's like, yeah, I saw Star Wars and I was a professional actor from that point. That's like not what happened at all. But
Thank you, Jar Jar Binks.
Thank you, Jar Jar. Yes. No, I mean, yeah, it did like spike my curiosity that like that was something people could do. Probably not motivated by the best art intentions. Probably like, oh, he's famous. He's on the screen. I can do that. Like that was probably a little bit of the catalyst. Yeah. But, you know, my mom was a lighting designer in DC. She taught lighting design professionally. So she was very supportive of taking me to theater as a kid. You know, so I did kind of start my theater interest. But there was many other things that got me into acting as well.
And where are you from originally?
I'm originally from New Mexico.
Oh, okay.
I know, it's very weird.
What part? Albuquerque?
Albuquerque.
Oh,
well,
okay.
Technically, I don't live in Albuquerque. I live in a small town called Cedar Crest. Population is like 7,000, I want to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's right outside of Albuquerque, but it like Albuquerque and Cedar Crest, like it's not unknown to me. I went to high school in Albuquerque and Breaking Bad was filming when I was in high school.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's wild.
So what was that like? Was everyone talking about it?
Oh, yeah.
I love that show.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's I'm a huge Bryan Cranston fan. I have been lucky enough to meet him once too.
Oh, wow.
And he's just as wonderful as you think. And yeah, so it was going on. People, I mean, it did amazing things for New Mexico. It did amazing things for the economy. It, you know, spiked tourism. There started becoming Breaking Bad tours. You know, it's a big pride point of New Mexico that Breaking Bad was filmed there. And on top of it, it did a lot for the economy because film really started to become an industry in New Mexico as well. And it still is. Like Netflix owns a studio there. And a lot of stuff actually films there now. More so movies, a few TV shows, but yeah.
And there's agencies down there too.
Yes,
right?
I'm signed with a New Mexico agent.
Oh, wow. Yeah, our last guest is actually from New Mexico too.
Stunning.
So this must be a
trend.
And someone told me that New Mexico is like the last greatest secret of the U.S. to get like a decent priced house.
Oh, yeah, that's actually very true. You look at Zillow here for what you can get in LA, and then you look at it in New Mexico, your jaw will probably hit the floor. Yeah.
Because Arizona, they've already skyrocketed, but New Mexico's still kind of in that, oh, wow, you could get a pretty decent. So, okay, New Mexico, and then what take me through high school, then what led you to...
yeah, so very interesting. New Mexico, I went to a elementary and private school that were both private because I wasn't in a good district for a public school. And it was what it was. But because of that, I went to school with a lot of the same kids from the time I was in pre-K till I was in 12th grade. And kind of like a sheltered environment too. Loved it though. I mean, I had amazing teachers. I had an amazing drama teacher. And she had an amazing impact on me too. But then I moved to Los Angeles for college, and I do go back and forth between New Mexico and here some, especially because the agency and, you know, I did stand and work in New Mexico at one point. I did extra work in New Mexico at one point too before I was signed with an agent. But yeah, then I moved to LA and I was like, I love it here. Yeah, I really do.
Kind of like, I'm home.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of me that, even though I love New Mexico and they're so socially progressive, it's a really accepting place. Maybe not the fastest pace, not the quickest changing. Like we don't have a Nordstrom's, we don't have, you know, Dillard's and Macy's or like our top of the line department stores. There was no Abercrombie growing up, but I did always feel like a little bit like I won't be here forever. And like, even the way I think I dressed myself at the time was very Kelly. I mean, by Kelly, I mean, I shopped at PacSun, but like, you know, whatnot. So I did feel like I would never come back on some level.
Okay. And then, and how long have you been out here? If you don't.
Oh God, when did I come? I started college in 2014.
Okay. So you've been out here for
it's been a minute, but 4 years of that, I was just really drunk running around a college campus. So it like doesn't, and it feels really different because I lived in, I went to LMU, amazing school.
Wait, which one's LMU? Where's
Loyola Marymount, right by the airport.
LAX?
Yes, right by LAX.
Oh,
yeah.
interesting.
I know. So really stayed in the Marina, Westchester area. I mean, I occasionally...
The West Side.
Yeah, as I got older, I went out more in LA, but like I didn't really venture out of that space. So then after I graduated, you know, living in LA, like you move 2 blocks over, it's like a totally different vibe.
Yeah, it
so
really is.
It does feel like I haven't lived in like LA for like as long.
So Hollywood and like the Valley, like
Right.
all that was like a whole new world.
I never went to the Valley, except for maybe once my senior year for I think we visited one of the studios with my sitcom acting class. And like, that was the first time I'd been to the Valley, really. I mean, when I was in high school, I did a dance program that was in the Valley, but yeah, I had no concept of anything past like Sunset, probably.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, it was funny because in the last guest, Devin, actually, who was from New Mexico and similar, came to LA for his college experience too. I'm like, man, I don't know if I could imagine doing college out here, because just knowing what I was doing in college in the Midwest and then moved to Vegas right afterwards, it's like, man, doing that out here in Hollywood during that phase, it had to have been
it's wild.
crazy.
It is. And I actually went through a little bit of culture shock when I moved here, because like I said, I was kind of like, oh, like, you know, the girl shop at PacSun in my, you know, small little school and whatnot. And I was also a really good kid in the sense of, you know, when they came to do seminars about, you know, people don't do drugs and people are photoshopped in ad campaigns and, you know, cigarettes are bad. I was a really, really good listener. Like I really believed that kind of stuff. And then I moved to LA and it's like, just kidding. It's like, no, fuck you. That's actually all not true. Like, people are that pretty. People are that rich. People smoke. People do drugs. Like, people are that famous. They are that rich. Like, it was a little bit of a culture shock. And I didn't get it. I did not understand. People are that into fitness. That was a whole thing, too. You know, so yeah, I did go through a little bit of culture shock with it at first.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, because there is, let me just use fitness as an example. Like, when you go to different parts of the country and then you come here, it's just like, whoa, there's that many people that are shredded from head to toe and live, eat, and breathe fitness 24/7. I mean, it really is truly a lifestyle.
Yes.
Out here.
Oh, totally. People eat, breathe, sleep, fitness. Like it's a personality trait here.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, I'm similar. Like I used to watch MTV Cribs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm, you know, this little 13-inch TV in my bedroom in the Midwest, it's snowing. I'm gonna go there someday.
Yeah.
You know, but you get out here and you realize, you know, don't really care about the crib thing anymore, but it's just like the vibe, the energy. I was talking to Eric beforehand, just like, what I love about it here is just everything's accepted. Like working on projects, whatever you're doing, like there's no one questions it. They're like, oh yeah, you gotta do it.
When did you move here?
5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you maybe, and you weren't 18.
No.
Yeah.
I was 30.
So I think that
31.
That might have had a good impact on you being a little, I was like, I didn't get that like everyone would be so accepting. I felt like you kind of had to fit into, not a mold, but it was just like, these things are cool. Like, you know, being wealthy and working out and like, I maybe it's a female, there's maybe some level of female in that too, that comes out there, you know, there's a lot of pressure to be beautiful here too. And so that didn't make me feel the most comfortable at first. But you know, I'm not going to like act like I'm all above it either. I totally love it here. I subscribed to the mindset on some level, but I do have like the reality check of like, this isn't the most important thing. It's not the most normal, you know, not everywhere else is like it, but like, yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. And your podcast, you have Confessions of a Wannabe It Girl. I listened to it today, driving around. And the last episode you did with the therapist.
Yeah.
It was great.
Oh, thank you.
It was phenomenal. How did you come up with that? What led to that inspiration?
A lot of actually what we just talked about, feeling like, well, the name can tell you a little bit about it. Like, Confessions of a Wannabe It Girl. Like, you know, even in high school at times, and I think a lot of us can feel this way, you feel like you're next to the popular person. You're next to being cool, you know, but do you ever really feel cool or being girl, or it person, whatever it is, for other genders. But I say it girl. I felt really like out and lost sometimes, and I didn't feel like I fit in. And, as I graduated college, I started to realize that other people might feel that way too. It's all a mindset too. Like it doesn't matter. Your looks, somebody said this on my podcast and I've never forgotten it. Your looks don't equate to like how you're doing in life. But yet we think the way you look tells us something about your success, your status and whatnot. And that was like a very disconnect. And I really struggled with social media. I call it social media compare and despair. When I graduated college, I don't know, it was maybe like the first time I felt like I was in an educational system. I never played team sports, but I had been in a sorority. I kind of had some idea of where I fit in the world, and then I'm out in the world and I have no idea. So adulthood felt very gate kept. And I was like, how do you actually be that successful? How do you actually be that in and it? So that's kind of where the podcast came from, was dealing with how do we like move forward, chasing our dreams. And what I say is with more confidence, clarity, and direction.
Yeah, I mean, and that makes a lot of sense what you said. And like as I'm listening and looking at different clips and things, it seems like you're reverse engineering, trying to find the blueprint to become that it.
Yes, totally.
That's what I took from it.
Yes.
And I really liked a lot of the topics you and the therapist were talking about. And you said something in a clip I really liked. I listened to today. It was not from that episode, it's from something else. But you're like, it was something like along the lines like, don't define yourself by your job title or that. What's important is the work that's being done. That's going to be leading. And I thought about that. I'm like, that's so true, because we get caught up in titles and accolades, and this is like, just do the work.
Yeah.
Do the work, because that work's preparing you to take you to the next level, to whatever that next thing may be, whether you know what it is or not.
Right. And that totally came from acting. Was, like, especially when you are out here chasing your dreams of being an actor. I mean, we're speaking from, you're an actor, I'm an actor, from that point of view, you identify yourself as an actor, and you're supposed to on some level, because you do have to take ownership of being an actor. Like when you meet somebody, you can pussy around and be like, like I'm, well, I do this and I do that and for money, but I'm an actor. And it's like, no, you should really say, I'm an actor. And like, I do subscribe to it, but it's not the only thing you are, and I think the clip you're talking about, I say like, your job is what you do. It's not who you are.
Yes.
And yeah, you're not always 100% an actor or, 100% a sister or whatnot. There's so many different things. So like, yeah, your job title is what you do, but it's not 100% who you are.
Yeah, or like someone told me one time, like he hated the question whenever he'd go out and like, so what do you do? What's your job? He's like, no, get to know me. Like,
right.
And then this is just something I do for money. For some people, that's exactly what I just do this for money.
Right.
But for other people, it's maybe their passion. So I guess.
Right. And like, we'll use CW for some reason, because I feel like using CW, you meet a CW exec and you're sitting down with them and you're like, so what do you do? And they're going to be like, a CW exec, but like, I don't want you to want something from me. It's like, why don't you ask them like, what are you reading? Or like, what do you like to do on your perfect Saturday? Like that's human to human connection. Otherwise it just seems like you're you're clout chasing or lily hopping or networking in the worst way, So yeah.
I feel like there's a balance to it.
There's balance.
Because you don't want to go to extreme, hey, here's my headshot, here's my business card, here's my... Right. But then at the same time, if you do find yourself next to somebody,
shoot your shot. Yeah, fucking do it.
There's a way to shoot your shot.
Yeah.
But maybe don't lead with that, right? Like, hey, here's what, like, right. Get to know him a little bit.
It gives me the ick when people like lead with that, just like, I'm just trying to get something out of you. But yeah, you should. I totally, you should go for it. But like with tact, Jonah Shao said this on my podcast. She owns a like career building group community called Career Activate, and she calls it aggressive with grace. It's being aggressive and like going for it and just asking the ask, but also like having some tact. Like, are you following them on IMDb? Do you know what projects they've worked on? Not just like, oh, da-da-da, what can I get out of them? Yeah.
No, that's a very good point. And people are impressed when you do your research on something. Like if they just know you as this like if someone just sees Confessions of a Wannabe It Girl and they're like, hey, I want to come on your podcast, or yeah, but they don't really know too much about you and haven't really built a rapport with you. It's like, no, it's a podcast. Like if you talk to me a little bit and the conversation's going good, you may, hey, this might be a really good guest to bring on. But I think, I don't know, I haven't dealt with this as much, too much. I did in Vegas a little bit, but just too much of like, how can this person benefit me type of thing? Like climb the ladder, if you will. And it's like, it's important to network. It's an important thing, but like I like how you worded it. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone worded it.
Aggressive with grace.
Yeah, as great as you just did.
It's a great like term. I mean, I cannot claim it. Jonah Chow, love you. But it really does do what you need, because like you're still gonna shoot the shot and do the thing, but like do it with some tact, some representation of who you are and your interests, not just like I'm gonna get something out of you and you're gonna get something out of me. Because like nobody who like. I mean, I relate a lot of networking and acting things to dating, even though I've been with my boyfriend for like 6 years and I was actually the worst friend to get dating advice from. But like, if you were to DM a person and were just like, hey, I'd really like to sleep with you. What? Like, that's weird. Like, that's very, very odd. But you're like, hey, like, I noticed you're really into blah, 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 whatnot. Could I maybe take you out on a date? Like, it's a huge difference, like massive.
Yeah, when I feel a lot of it on Instagram is, especially now, is people just shoot you business things with no personalization, no like even addressing your name.
Yeah.
Just saying, hey, check this out, buy it.
Yeah.
Or something. It's like, yo, did you even look at anything like that was on this page, or did you just see it was a podcast
Yeah,
page?
nothing bothers me more than when people ask to be on my podcast and I'm like, and they shoot me a DM, not even an email. Not that I care DM or email, but it's like, did you even scroll through the page? Do you have any clue what it's about? Like, it's just, I'm like, no, this is a copy and paste email or a text or whatever. And it's like, tell me why, you know, it's very, very weird.
Yeah, well, and you know, and I'll segue to this, you know, because thank you, because of you, I connected with Eric Sarich.
Love him,
because he's been shooting your podcast for way longer, and he's been.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
he's incredible.
He's the best.
And the more like I would find out about your podcast, it was like, wow, like Marley's like doing it. Oh
my God, you're like, doing it. We're here.
That's why I was really excited to talk to you, because it seems like, I mean, how long you been? We'll call it the game. Like
sure. In the podcast game. I love a podcast game. So I started it in 2020, November, and then I took 2 weeks off in December. So honestly, I started in 2021, the beginning of 2021, but like there was like a soft launch in 2020. So yeah, that's when I started it, but we didn't start filming it. Eric, when did we start filming the podcast?
I know I was in there the first year.
You were in there the first year. We got there quickly, but it wasn't all like, I had it all figured out at all. It was a lot of trial and error.
It's an evolution. It's a process.
I mean, the gear alone overwhelmed me.
I mean, you just started with the bare basics.
I did. I started complete with a USB mic, into the laptop in GarageBand. So like, bare bones.
I did too.
yeah, bare bones. You've been there.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, it's interesting. And like, I remember, ironically, she's the biggest guest I've had on, and I went to college with her. She has just under 1 million followers on TikTok. She was the third guest, and like the first time she came over, like I couldn't even get the gear to work. It was like a whole thing. I was so embarrassed, but we were friends, so it was like totally fine. But now she's like, I don't even know if I could get her back on the podcast if I tried. Like, she's so probably like repped up. I mean, she's an amazing person, but yeah, it's a total trial and error in the beginning. Like, couldn't get it to work. She had to come back the next day. It was literally a confessions of a wannabe it girl, wannabe it podcaster in that moment. So.
Oh, and I was telling you my story before. I mean, I have multiple, like, hey, bear with me. We got to stop recording. Yeah. Let me reset this. Oop, ran out of space on this SD card. Yeah, it's a lot better when you have help.
Yes, it's a lot better when you have help. Totally.
So, I mean, you're not just, I mean, it sounds like you have a full marketing plan. I mean, based upon conversations with Eric and just seeing what you've put out there. I mean, you got all your ducks in a row, it seems.
Well, thank you for saying that, because that's very sweet. And I appreciate that, because at the same time, I feel like I have nothing figured out. But like, yeah, there are a certain amount of figuring out, but it came from doing it. You know, I got on the mic when I didn't know what I was saying. I solo podcasted when I rambled. You know, now it's much clearer, you know, who I'm talking to and who the podcast is for and like why I'm doing it. That was not clear in the beginning at all. And, you know, even with the social media part, like, you know, at first when I started the Instagram, which like by no means I have like no crazy numbers or anything, but I actually do get good engagement. Not gonna lie, I get great engagement.
No, it's solid. I looked at it. It's
you.
solid. Yeah.
But like, I had this idea of like using celebrities and like, you know, I'd black out their eyes and have it say "Wannabe It Girl." Like, it was nothing personal. It was like trying to do this whole like ambiguous, who knows what the word is, thing. And like, it didn't work at all. But like, the only way I got better at doing the social media and doing the podcast is literally from doing it on some level, you know. And also, this sounds so easy, but like, you know, 2 years, a year and a half in, you might forget like why you're doing it or who you're doing it for. And it's like, well, what episode do you want to listen to? You know, like, I don't really want to hear somebody tell me like their personal story about like something that I don't even care what I'm supposed to be learning from this for. But like, yeah, what I want to listen to, what's the mindset behind like fake it till you make it? Like, I'm doing Coachella episodes. Like, that's what I want to listen to, you know? So I did have to like rethink it. And I think this season that I'm currently in is the most like in line. I've started to really understand A, who I'm talking to, B, what I want to be doing, C, what it should look like and feel. So it took time.
Yeah, well, that's so crazy, because I was just talking to Eric about that. You can get lost in it. And, you know, you look at other, I mean, because how many, there's a billion.
There are millions.
Podcasts. I even have moments where I'm like, there's just so much content. It's just like, like,
there's
why?
so many, but I do actually think some are dying out. I mean, I heard a stat that was like, you know, most podcasts don't make it past 7 episodes.
Yes, I've heard something very similar.
And also, I kind of think everybody who started in 2020 as like a quarantine hobby, like I kind of think a lot of them are gone. Not all of them, definitely not all of them.
Because it
like,
takes a lot of work.
It takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
People went back to the office. People got different jobs, found out they weren't that into it, lost a host, da-da-da.
And I'm fine being the tortoise in this, because I really feel like just longevity. And it seems that you put one out every week, right?
Yes.
Every Tuesday?
Every Tuesday, yes. Great job. Yes. Yeah. Every Tuesday.
And you've been doing that consistently.
The first year, the soft launch of 2020, and then I took 3 weeks or 2 weeks off. And then last year I did have a family emergency and I didn't post one. And then I did a bonus, which was actually the first Coachella episode, which went nuts in the downloads. I was shocked because I was kind of like, this is a bonus. I'm making up. I missed a week. I really wanted to do it because I just love Coachella. I know as basic as that sounds and as privileged as it sounds, I acknowledged it. But it blew up in the downloads and I was floored. And so I missed that week, made up with the bonus. And then, then this year I actually learned a really cool hack, which was I didn't take the break, but I didn't record new episodes. I went back and I re-edited 3 top episodes and I just redid the intros. So then I kind of had a 3-week break, but
it's like a throwback.
I was still putting out an episode, which was good. Even though I've noticed with, you know, for anybody who wants to be a podcaster interesting, your people will have seasons like of listening to podcasts. Like I don't know if it's because Coachella seems to be a good time for me or whatnot, but like I'm on a really high number month and past 2 months have been really great to me. So thank you. Love ya. But, you know, December and November were really low for me. So it's like, it kind of, you'll learn to know your audience, you know, and mine's millennial women. And like, also I was doing like 40-minute episodes, 45, and like, they don't listen to 45 minutes. They listen to 30. And like, I started to notice that. But that's because if you think about it, like, they're driving 30 minutes or they're doing something like that's who I'm talking to. So it's been very interesting.
It's been, I mean, you've had to put in all that work just to get down to those analytics.
Oh, yeah.
And find that audience.
Oh, totally. And in the beginning, I didn't even have enough listeners to know what the analytics were. Like,
so it's fair to say, I mean, for give or take an episode, for 2 years, you've been putting out consistent content.
Back to your main question. Yes, I've been consistently doing it.
That's incredible.
Thank you.
That's, I mean, shoot, that's because I've been doing it for 2 years, but not to your consistency level.
Thank you.
You know, it's been on and off. Now I'm hopefully going to be on the one a week train.
Yes, you are.
But yeah, it's tough.
Re-edit an old one.
Re-edit it. I like your idea of shortening some of them up.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Do you clip stuff up? You take the clips and you...
When I re-edit them or for social media?
Just for social media or even those YouTube shorts?
Yes. So, I'm not going to lie, I have an assistant to the video editing because something else I realized, which I think is great advice for anybody who's doing a side hustle in the beginning or, you know, starting a dream passion is like, I noticed the edit was killing me. Like editing the podcast, I was like killing me. Like it drained the creativity.
Oh, trust me, I know.
Right. It made me not want to do it. And I was like, this is not good. So hired an editor. I have a video editor too. Like it's not a one-man operation at all, which is why I think I've been able to stay consistent for, 2 years and whatnot. But yeah, so it's definitely like, it's a work and flow.
Yeah. I think I noticed through the social media chambers, you did like an event.
Oh, yeah. That was interesting. And I got really nervous before. I had a full-blown panic
Let's
attack.
talk about that. What was it? And tell me what happened.
Right. So I was like, I know that there's a few people that like are really, given a lot of them are my friends, really dedicated to this podcast. I'd really started to clear up that what it was about is chasing dreams with more confidence, clarity, and direction, being your own it girl, if you will. And I was like, that's really in line with New Year. And I was like, well, okay, so vision boards are really in line with New Year. So I was like, let's do a vision board and wine night because that's just really in line with my brand. Like there's wine, there's visions, and there's career, and there's women. And stunning. So I had the, subscribers of my email list that are mostly my friends, but like, subscribers and my email list come over to my apartment. We did a vision board and wine night, and it was really fun and it was great. I got to meet some people brought people. I got to meet new people. I got to have groups of people meet, and like, it was just really positive to start off the year. And it also did actually have a tick in my downloads. I don't know if it's direct, when I say I have a tick in the downloads, you don't know what caused the tick up or down, but like, sometimes I do think like if I post something that's interesting to people or they're like, I want to be involved in that, I do see a little change. So maybe that's it, but I have no way to tell that.
So it's a great way to build your brand outside of the podcast.
Right. And then like, some podcasters, I actually work for a podcast too. They have communities. And like, if that is the direction I wanted to go, I kind of wanted to test the water, because yeah, like it's a little bit, an entrepreneurial women's space too. So yeah.
Well, it's a network too, because I've listened to some. What's his name? Shane from The Walking Dead. Mm-hmm. Whatever, I totally forgot the name.
I don't know, but I know you're talking about.
He was talking about. So his podcast, he said it's turned more into like a network.
That's sick.
Because of the guests he was bringing on, people were getting really interested. Like, well, who's that person? Like, so he was like, I don't know if he's launching people's shows, but you just never know where things can go. So good for you for expanding that. And,
thank you.
Because I think you do have to do different things. It's not that there's competition, then there's not. I mean, you are your own unique thing, but I was talking to Eric before we started, but people are competing for attention.
Yeah. Me.
Maybe
I'm
we'll
Tinkerbell. Like, I clap if you don't clap, I die. Like,
I mean, this right here, and maybe we can get into social media.
Sure.
And all that. It's like, especially now, it's like, shoot, like, I thought a 45 to a minute promo clip was enough. Like, no, man, it's got to be like a 7-second captioned reel
with a hook.
with the hook, and if you don't get them in the first 2 seconds,
Polarizing.
unfollow, bro.
Right, right.
It's just like, so it's like we are competing for eyeballs.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it's cool and it's inspiring to hear different things you can do outside from just doing an episode to build your brand.
Oh, totally. And it's not a one size fit all. Like what works for, Joe Rogan doesn't work for Marley Freygang. Like,
Right.
When did you start? What's the audience? Like, there's so many different avenues. I mean, it's a branding thing. It's a marketing thing.
And before we get into social media,
yeah.
because I definitely want to talk about that, I'm going to reveal my own ignorance.
Love it.
Because I view you as you're an unofficial mentor too.
I'm no expert.
Well, when you say downloads, so what do you mean? Are you talking about the actual views? Counting everything? Or are you talking like when they download it from like the app?
Download it from the iTunes or Spotify. Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, but so you're not including like YouTube views or anything like that?
That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, sure, like that does help. And like I do try to like keep track of that as well. But like, yeah, I'm specifically talking about, and also like, some people, particularly, an influencer who's had, and I do talk to a lot of not a lot, but a good amount of influencers or people who are in, their job is social media. And, whatever, you're putting the most into is where you need to be looking at the metrics. So like I'm putting the most into the podcast. I show up there every Tuesday. I'm very up and down with social media. I do try to be better at it. Also, I'm starting to really enjoy it. But yeah, so looking at the metrics of mine podcast, I look at the downloads and like the listen time and whatnot. And there's so many different things you can unfortunately pay for to find out more analytics about your podcast.
Okay. And, one thing I'm finding, and I told myself I wasn't, when I got on this streak now, okay, we're doing this new production, doing this once a week. I'm not getting, and of course you want to look at the numbers.
First. Don't do it. Yeah, I'm subscribed.
I have someone helping me with, shout out to Marcus, helping me with the internet marketing stuff. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to have expectations of episode views. Next thing you know, how many views did it get?
No, we all do that. We all do that. I will tell everyone not to, and I will do it myself consistently. So, I mean, it's weird.
Yeah, so I think just, again, the stuff's up there. It's always going to be up there. And like, just like with a music artist, like, I mean, I can't tell you how many music artists I've come across. I find this one song, I'm like, wow, this person's amazing. What else? Then they got like 20 music videos. They've been around for 10 years. I'm like, how have I never heard of this? So it's like when they discover you, there's going to be a lot for them to...
Oh, totally. And it's like when you see an actor on TV and you're like, oh my God, this actor is amazing. They're brand new. No, they're not. They've been around for 10 years and 5 before that, before they had an agent. Same with podcasting.
Yeah. So social media, we were talking a little bit. What's your take?
I have a lot of takes.
Okay, good.
I have a lot of takes. Like I said, kind of, about living in LA. Like, I don't think, I love it and I hate it at the same time. It's put me in a mentally not great place. And at the same time, like, I would love to only do social media and acting, So at the same time, like, I just think it's so grandma-ish to say, like, it doesn't matter and it's not going anywhere, or it doesn't matter, it'll be gone or whatever. And it's not the be-all, end-all. Like, again, I think we have to have a reality check on everything, that, someone having 100K followers and you having 200 doesn't make you any different of a person. And, at the end of the day, it's not going to say in your tombstone, had 200K followers. And if it does, that's a whole nother conversation. But like, you can't not say it doesn't matter on some level. And how are you going to live with it? How are you going to deal with it? Because it's not going anywhere. It feels like, when we were kids, we'd get that thing, and it was like no TV watching week. And it's like, okay, now that like the TV's in every room of the house, like social media is going to be in every room of people's lives too. So like, how do you live with it? What's the balance? How do we not compare and despair, scroll all the time? How do we not care what numbers look like? How, so because I struggled a lot with it, and also do love it. It's like I'm not like, get off, disconnect your life. It's a weird little balance, but I do like it.
I've always compared it That was a great breakdown. I've always compared it to fire.
Mm-hmm.
Fire can heat your house. It can cook your food, but fire can also burn down your house and burn you.
Right, and that's true.
It's a tool.
Yeah, there was a girl on TikTok. I wish I remembered her name. She was saying something, and she's like, she was like, don't be embarrassed about wanting more followers because, maybe you want more followers because like that means your small business will take off, or you want more followers because, you want you to find more people who feel like you. Like, it's okay to be open about the fact that we want more followers and we want more likes. Do we need to mental health check that if that's all you're obsessed about? Yes. If that's what you're putting your status and life, like, line on, like, yeah, that's not healthy either. But like, I don't think it's bad to look at social media and see some of these things and be like, yeah, the world sees value in this, and I'm gonna work at it. It's like, my boyfriend's sister works in influencer marketing, and the last company she was at, they did not do any print ads, they did not do any TV ads. Their entire marketing budget was spent on creators and influencers. So it's like, you can't not say it's a business. It's a business, so yeah.
Well, I've called it a necessary evil.
It is.
I mean, there are so much good that happens with it.
There's a lot of bad too.
There's a lot of, especially you pointed out when people are making it their self-worth. Mm-hmm. God, there was a documentary on, I never watched, HBO.
Is it the social? Oh, no.
Basically, it was following influencers, I think, around LA.
It was on HBO?
Almost, or not, that's a movie, Almost Famous.
Is it Social Animals?
I don't know, but it like showed them like pretty much faking the funk, like in photos to make it seem like their life was so great.
Yeah.
But they're just like, yeah, no, I'm an influencer. This is what I gotta do,
right,
to make people want to follow me.
Two great documentaries about it is there's Social Animals, which follows a few. Really, like, they were all creators because this was like at the brink of social media, and then there's The Social Dilemma. Which is
that's a great one.
That's another great one. Which I like all the points made in both of them as well, and not all of that's positive. So
yeah, and would you say compare and despair?
Compare and despair scroll.
That's so true. I've got the scrolling out of my system. Like, that's good.
Oh, good for you. I'm back in it.
What can get you is the Instagram stories. So I guess that would technically be
scroll. It's
a flip. Yeah, it's a flip, and I'm like, this is the equivalent to when we used to flip through channels on the TV. It's like literally the same exact thing, but even worse. Because, like you said, like TV in every room, but it's like TV wherever I want.
Right.
Just and it's so crazy how because like listening to people who design social media, they designed it to give you that dopamine
to make
release.
you addicted.
Like the same thing in the casino, like with the slot machine. So it is, even that I'm aware of it, but I will still fall into it.
Oh yeah. And I think that at least you have the wherewithal to know that you do fall into it and it exists. And that's what worries me about the youngest generation right now is like, will they have that wherewithal? Because like we did grow up at a time where it wasn't king, right? And I think I never had MySpace. I had Facebook. I was in high school when Instagram came out. But it's even weirder. And I think about this a lot, and it's a genius idea I had or realized is that, yes, you're addicted as a consumer, but try being an influencer or content creator. Just like you said, what are you doing getting back on the apps to check how many views you had? Yet another form of addiction. And since like I have really, I'm on a big spell of being into my social media, putting out content myself. I think I check my social media more to see how a video I did performed than even checking. So yet now you've got me hooked as a consumer and a creator.
Whoa, mind blown.
Yeah. I do think it's brilliant.
It is two different. Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're exactly right.
So you got us both.
I thought I had escaped. Yeah, and you put a video. I mean, you're a content creator. You put something out. You're like, and it's always the ones you didn't think that were going to do that.
Always.
It's like, I'm like, I know this one's going to be great.
Yeah.
Crickets, and then you just throw something up there. You didn't even hashtag. I don't even know if hashtags are relevant anymore.
Oh no, I think they are actually.
Are they? I'm out of the loop.
Jury's really out on that. If they matter or they don't. It also depends what platform. So.
Yeah, but then something like people takes off and they really like. I'm like, what?
Yeah. No, it's wild. Yeah, it's like it didn't do like crazy or anything, but like I didn't post it in 2 weeks. I was working a production job. I was really stressed out. Social media wasn't happening. It was impossible to keep up with. And I just made a TikTok, and it's one of the picture ones where you can scroll. I did it in my pajamas. And it was like my first post back, and I was like, why did that one outperform all the other ones I'd worked so hard on? And this one took me 2 seconds, whatever. Maybe it was because it was the first one back, who knows? But yeah, it's always the shit you don't expect.
Yeah, exactly. I will say the memes. I'm a sucker for good memes.
I'm not a meme person.
You're not a meme person.
I'm a cat video gal and a Grogu gal. Like. Not to tie back in.
Yeah, there's a lot of memes with him though, actually.
Yeah, but I like the TikTok little videos of him. It's like
I'm not on TikTok. I will tell you this. I'll have a confession.
You're not a confession.
A confession, wannabe it girl.
No TikTok.
I signed up for TikTok. I said I was never gonna get on there, but for the podcast, I'm like, let me grab. I'm a big grab the real estate.
Totally.
So let me grab the brand name. I never followed anything. TikTok. I thought Instagram was bad, and when I say bad, I just mean intense.
Yeah.
TikTok was like 10 times the speed, and they were throwing, hey, want to see this? Want to see this? Want to see that? I'm like, oh, no.
You're like, nope, done, close.
Until there's a social media manager, I can't do this. I'll run everything else, but I'm not touching this one.
Fair. Everyone's got their mental space they can handle.
But I am aware and know. Do you follow Gary Vaynerchuk at all?
No, I don't know.
Like he's all about like whatever's the new up and coming thing, you better get on it because once it gets so big, he's
I've heard that mindset.
So it's like I am aware that some people have blown the heck up on TikTok and have made huge careers out of it. So there is that. I mean, there's something there.
It's changed some people's lives. Like now they're making thousands for one TikTok. It's.
What's in your words? What's the biggest difference between TikTok and Instagram?
That's so funny. I was actually having this conversation with my neighbor last night too, because they were talking about how TikTok is potentially going to get banned, which I cannot comment on. I have no clue, and I don't understand. I mean, I understand the issue, but I no. TikTok is for Gen Z, I think. So it's it feels much more authentic. I'll still put that in air quotes because it should just be quick on the grab. Like maybe something that you would post on your story should go on your TikTok. It's much more a day in the life and and this is you all the time, or this is what you think is funny. It's way less Instagrammable, which is picture perfect, pretty, curated. Instagram gives off to me a much more produced vibe. TikTok gives off what we're calling is authentic. I mean, it's still edited and it's still made. So it's still curated in my opinion. So it's not 100% authentic, but that's the difference. And also I think that comes from the generations. Like Instagram is more for millennials and Gen Z is much more into, being weird is cool and, doing things for social media, and TikTok is very much that versus Instagram is let me set it up and make it pretty for the platform.
Oh, okay. Wow. This is great. And so TikTok, there's no pictures on TikTok, right?
Actually there is now.
So you can't just post a picture?
You can post a picture, but you should have sound and it will scroll like a carousel on Instagram.
So it's not like Instagram where I can post one just photo still and filter it out.
You probably won't do very well. Right? Yeah, I mean, you can. Yeah, TikTok's it's possible.
TikTok's kind of like the behind the scenes, shooting it amateur style. Right. Instagram. I've never heard anyone put it that way.
It's much more like Get Ready with Me is a really popular now. There was a time when hot takes were really popular during the pandemic. I remember this one girl, she blew up on TikTok for talking about all the celebrities she had met as a host. Like it more like that, not something you could put in an Instagram caption. So, and even but I also I've curated my feeds at this point. It knows my feedback of what I'm into and what I'm not. When I'm on Instagram, I see, the girl going to Paris and it's very, very pretty and, whatnot. And when I'm on TikTok, I see Cats, Guru, Disney. I do see a lot of podcasts, but I'm into podcasts. I'm a podcaster. I see a little bit of acting, but when I'm on my Instagram, I don't see any actors. I don't see any guru, it's very different. So, yeah.
So what would you say is the balance to social? how do you use
Balance.
social media, whether you're using it as a content creator like you or just as a consumer, someone that wants, do you think there's a right formula?
I think when it's affecting your mental space and your productivity, that's when it's not the greatest as a consumer specifically. You know, there'll be days when you will just scroll on your phone and you don't want to pull your eyeballs away from it. I personally think there should be a time limit, just like how hearing like I watched 8 hours of TV today doesn't sound great. Like scrolling on TikTok for 8 hours a day doesn't sound so great. So I think like it's like enjoy it, have the time. I can't say that the first thing I don't do and wake up is grab my phone and scroll through TikTok. I do. But like, yeah, when can you put it down? When can you like just be like, I'm done with this, rest off? Like just click off. I have the timer set on my phone. I especially the days where I'm content creating, I ignore the timer. I'll say like ignore limit for today, but like iPhone has a limit feature on it. Set it for 30 minutes, an hour, whatever, and like be like, okay, now it's done. It's time for me to converse or whatnot. That's been huge for me. I think another thing that helps with balancing is it sounds so simple, but like the person that's making you feel insecure because of likes, follows, or, the way they look or what they get to do because of blah, 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 like unfollow them, mute them. Like what that shame or weird feelings you're feeling because of that. Why do you keep doing that self to you? It does take like some pulling away, because also then there's this addiction to watching those people. So like you can kind of like shit on them or shit on yourself for not being like that. And so how can you pull yourself out of that? And I found that was muting or unfollowing people for myself. That was a big thing I truly worked on with my therapist when I was like 22, 23. Is just like, I don't need to see that kind of content. Like it doesn't give me anything. It doesn't teach me anything. It's just setting me up for perfectionism failure. So that's what I would do as a consumer. And then as a content creator, it kind of goes back to like the podcast. Why are you doing it? Like, does this make you happy? Is this something you would want to watch? And like, it sounds so simple. And I literally am obsessed with trying to grow my TikTok and Instagram. But like, at the end of the day, that has nothing to do with who I am as a person. My mom does not care how well my TikTok does. It doesn't affect my, relationship with my cat or my boyfriend. Like they do not care. So like pull away the reality of this. Like I'm not going to be able, fortunately, to rent a car if I travel somewhere because I don't have 10K on Instagram. There's an episode of Black Mirror where that actually happens. I didn't make that example up.
You mentioned that in the last.
Yes,
yeah.
It's weird. I haven't talked about it in so long, and it hit me. That episode of Black Mirror. It's a fabulous episode. I know some people don't like Black Mirror because it can get really gritty, but that episode is not like that gritty or angsty or whatnot.
I've yet to check it out.
It's great. It's fabulous. Yeah. The girl who's in the new Jurassic Parks is in it as well.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a really, really good episode. But yeah, like it's not who you are. It's what you do. So just like if you can come back to that when making content, I think that will help. And also like there's a space and place for everyone online on some level.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. So. Don't get discouraged. Just keep going, keep trying, keep making. You'll find your voice. You'll find what you like to do on it. So, yeah.
That was very well said.
Thank you.
That's a clip. Do you ever do your podcast and like, and whether it's you or the guest, you're like, oh, that's totally getting clipped. Like that's totally a promo clip.
Well, so after I get it back from the editor, I do a second edit and like edit out weird ums where I'm like, that was kind of a ramble or whatnot. That's when I notice the clips. But no, I zone out. Like I literally zone out. Like I'm like, no. Like
well, you remind me, I heard once, what you eat, your food diet's important,
yes.
but also what you watch, your mental diet, media diet. Mm-hmm. And when someone worded it to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so right. Because you can be doing everything. You working out, eating right. Mm-hmm. But if you're just constantly taking that, I like how you said, like, really ask yourself, like, what is this doing for me? Mm-hmm. Is this creating these feelings in me? Like, why would you even want that? Just remove it.
Yeah, well, and it was so, I love what you said about eating, because that's so true. You know, people say you are what you consume. But like the thing that would get me sad, I love TV, as most actors should, in my opinion. I love and I adore the medium of TV. I have since a child. I've always been a TV girl over film. And I was like, why am I on TikTok more than I am watching, you know, Last of Us? Like, what? Like, it's not my end goal, you know? So, like, that was the reality check. What's it pulling away? What is my energy am I giving up by doing this, you know? And Kathleen at Playhouse, she has great points about social media. She thinks it really kills your creativity. And on some level, I really do agree with her. You have to save that creativity mental battery for other things too. So like, don't waste it all in one place. And that's true of everything. Don't waste all your energy in one place for anything.
Oh, I love that. Kathleen said that. Yeah.
Kathleen, the one who's
Shout out to Kathleen. Yeah.
shout out to Kathleen.
Yeah, no, it's because it is. It's whether you realize it or not, you're using energy. Because you know there's been days where I know I've been on it too much. Like I just know for whatever reason it was, and you just feel like you just took like a 10-hour test or something. Like, why am I so tired?
Right. Like, or what happens if you get an audition then? Like, oh no, like your creative battery's gone. You know? So.
And you are right. Like, as an actor or director, whatever you want to do, like it's important to study film and television,
Right.
Because that's what you.
I was like, this is the thing that I want the most. I love the podcast. It's my literal child. But like, that's the thing I want the most. And I'm doing this more. What? Put it down. Like, there's something you want. And then if you want to be an influencer or content creator and like completely making on it, so like that argument, how are you really looking at that content? Are you actually looking at it from an educational standpoint? Are you taking notes? Are you looking at the hashtags or what did they post? What grabbed you about that? Like, there's two different ways to look at content. So like, but don't be like, well, Marley, I want to be a content creator. So like I can spend like, okay, no, but then spend 1 hour pleasure, 1 hour studying, and 1 hour trying to find new things. Like, you know, there's still a different way to look at it.
Yeah, and someone said, create, don't consume.
Mm-hmm.
And then another one, I'm actually taking this from Joe Rogan. He said he posts and ghosts. He posts and then he's like, I'm out of there.
No, that's great. I mean, I wish I had more of that. I think that's a great place to be in.
But to build followings and all that, engagement is important, especially if someone watches a full podcast episode and they comment in great detail. Should. I'm going to address them, of course.
Yeah.
You know? So
and Joe Rogan doesn't have to do that anymore.
Yeah. Like, he can do whatever he wants. Yeah. Yeah. So again, I think this is I've taken a lot of good things out of what you've said here. You've really made me more aware of the energy, I think. I love how Kathleen said that. Like, if you're draining your battery, whether you realize it or not. It's kind of like when I'm making this up on the fly. It's kind of like when you got something open, like a Google Maps open on your phone. And like you forgot it was open. Like, why is my battery almost down to 0?
Yeah.
Oh man, that thing was working this whole time.
That's a great way.
That's kind of what it reminds me of.
That's so funny because I talk a lot about mental health in regards to, you know, when you open Safari on an iPhone and you have 8 million browsers open. That's how I equate anxiety, and like that's draining your battery too. And so it's the same with social media.
Yeah, no, and so you've talked a lot in the mental health space. That's a big thing for you.
I mean, it really couples with my compare and despair scroll I struggled with when I graduated college. I mean, I have a generalized anxiety disorder, and I do, you know, see the correlation being someone who's been through social media compare and despair, not a clinical term, but, you know, I do talk a lot about mental health. Like, you know, I think I've had a generalized anxiety disorder since I was very young, and it, you know, was undiagnosed until I was about to graduate college. So yeah, like I do talk a lot about it because yes, it's like a very trendy topic now, and it feels like, you know, everybody talks about mental health, but like, let's continue to have the reality check of like, social media is not going anywhere. And like, you know, you can change your outcome and the it girl mindset and fake it till you make it. Cause like, I do really believe that even though I have great days of amazing confidence and other days where I'm like, literally like, I just want to put on a hoodie and no one talk to me, no one see me. And I should just like run away into the forest or Alaska or something. I think, you know, mindset also has a lot to do with mental health. And that's a big part of becoming your own it girl in my mind. So yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know what you mean. Like there's days where you feel like you're on top.
Mm-hmm.
I can't be stopped.
Yep.
It's all happening, and then the next day you're just like, shut it down. Like we're.
Yeah, I think this applies to anybody who's like in an entrepreneurial space. I used
Yeah.
to think it was just actors. It's like I think it's a Venn diagram is the word. It's like the two circles that meet
Yep.
in the middle. And it's like inflated self-ego, crippling self-doubt. It's like actor. And it's like, yeah, entrepreneur, artist, right in that center too. It's like a weird mix of both.
Yep. No, I totally. And so this has been a phenomenal conversation. A follow up to your brand and acting. So what with the podcast?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a specific goal you're in the end with it? Or are you just trying to see where it goes? Obviously, it'd be great to probably just make it bigger and bigger and be able to do it all the time.
Yeah.
What do you?
I mean, originally I had the idea of I wanted a TV show to come out of
Okay.
the show, out of the podcast.
I could see that.
Yeah, you know, and you know, the idea would be across probably somewhere between CW and HBO, you know, about women. Like realistically, not just a love story, because I feel like less and less, thank goodness, but like, you know, it's always, you know, a woman's tale is love. And I'm like, yeah, there's so much that goes on between women and women dynamics in a great way, in an up and down way, you know. So that was the original idea. At this point, I'm just riding the wave. I'm doing it for my 16-year-old self, and I love that. So
Yeah, no, I really you have to love doing it. I think
Yeah.
that's your number one.
it's
Like,
a passion.
yeah, you know, it's like money and status and all this other stuff. It's like if anything ever happens, whatever. Like, but it's like, why are you doing it? It really is, and like podcasting, I'm really viewing it is an art. Like it really is, and especially like capturing these conversations. And I'll get your take on this.
Yeah.
Watching a podcast and listening are two different experiences.
Yeah.
I feel, and what's funny is even with my own, like I like to watch it back like once.
I don't.
You don't?
Nope.
I always do it once it's up and out. Like I'll go,
Oh.
okay, let me get but I like listening to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize that there's still a market because there's certain people that I just want to do it while I'm doing things,
Mm-hmm.
cleaning, driving, things like that. So I know people are like video, but there's still a place for the audio where it all started.
Totally. I mean, some people are obsessed with only watching videos. I've never been that person. I will, for the longest time, I would not give this advice to a up and coming podcaster. I didn't even listen back to my podcast. I recorded it. I sent it out to the editor. I uploaded it. That was risky. And I don't recommend that.
It's like Russian roulette of
yeah,
podcasting.
and it's probably why it didn't grow for a hot second either. But yeah, I've never been, I don't watch the video. To be honest, maybe I should, but I won't watch the full video of the interview. I don't want to judge how I look, you know, or whatnot, or think like, oh, I shouldn't have said that like that or whatnot. I've always been an audio girl, so I'm dyslexic. It fits right in with the earbuds are great for me. And I like to be doing other stuff. I mean, I've heard other podcasters talk about this, how podcasting is the most give back to their audience content because they can be doing other things while doing it. It's not, you only have to be paying attention to me. So audio works just fine for me as a consumer and just fine as a creator. Yeah.
Well, I think anyone listening to this that has been wanting to start a podcast, because I've had a couple people come up to me
Oh
as
yeah,
of late
people
and
come out
say,
of the woodworks once you start one.
well, and they've said like, man, I've always wanted to do it. I just say do it.
Yeah.
Because another thing about podcasting too, I'll just speak personally. Like I saw this on an interview with somebody. His name's Naval Ravikant. Really huge philosophical guy, and he was just saying like how can just build your personal brand, like even outside, you throw out sponsorships and making money, like you as a person, like you're building a platform. It's your own platform. Like you can bring anyone on you want.
Yeah.
To your show
Right.
that you want to talk to and what you want to listen.
Not as much anymore. I think I've kind of niched down a little bit, but yes,
But you see what I'm
can't-
saying?
you
Like if
can.
this person
There
like
are
fits the
rules.
podcast.
Rules are still, and rules are meant to be broken. So like maybe not for me right now, but like yes, at some point totally.
But like theoretically speaking, like if like man, I really want to have a conversation with this person
Yes.
right here, like you have a platform to do that, and who knows? Like I think that's great what you said about the TV show. It's like you're building this, and yeah, you might that CW exec we talked about, as you're getting to know them as a person, hey, by the way, you know, I got this show, blah, blah, blah. And, oh, man, we've been waiting for, we need something new for this. So you just never know what you're doing with this, what it will lead to, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, totally. And that's the best reason to start a podcast.
And so my follow-up would be is like, for any of that person that comes up to you and says, man, I want to start a podcast, but I don't know where, what would you say to them?
Be ready to lose some money. To be completely honest, it's like, you know, doing it well is not the cheapest thing. It's not the most expensive thing, but I would, you know, just start. It doesn't hurt. You can, you know, stop. You can start. There's no right or wrong way to podcast. You know, it's, you'll figure it out as you go. You'll get better. You'll get better at the gear. You'll get better at understanding what your audience is. If you think you can do it, try it. At least give it one episode. The good college try. You know, you're not going to know. You can't think you're good at podcasting. You can't just sit there and think like, I'm going to be good at this. Like, that's ridiculous. Until you're sitting behind a mic and try to even do a solo and riff by yourself for 10 minutes, you're not going to know. And if you only make it 5 that first time, that's fine. I've been there too. It will get better in time. It's a muscle, just like anything. I mean, we talk about this all the time in acting, how, you know, you can't expect to win an Academy Award your first film. And, you know, you can't expect to run a marathon your first, you know, time you step on a treadmill. It's the same podcasting. So just start, give it a try, you know. Yeah.
Awesome. And I've totally you write too. Like you're a writer or.
I'm more of like Eric writes and I'll be like, these are my notes. Like, no, not the biggest editor. Because
you guys are a team. Like you guys have worked on projects
I call Eric my producing partner when I try to explain. Yes. So yeah, totally.
So acting and film, what's anything going on with that right now? Besides just continuing the course?
Auditioning, films? Understanding more and more the roles I, you know, think are just like an easy book for me. And just continuing to love the medium of TV and film as it is. You know, but yeah, I'm always in class. I'm always training. I'm a nerd about actors. I know like the most obscure facts, and I should probably switch that more to directors and producers. But like, yeah, that's just the people I love. You know, I was a thespian. I was the thespian president. Like
president?
Yeah.
Where?
The Thespian Society in New Mexico at my high school. You
Whoa,
know,
okay.
Yeah, and I was the state president too.
You were the state president
for thespians, yes.
In New Mexico.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah, you know.
It's a big title.
I thought so too. Yikes. And I bring it up all the time, and even my college friends give me shit about it. But yeah, like those are my people. So like I'm never gonna not love theater, TV, film. So, you know, and I'm auditioning, I'm out there and chasing the dream.
We all are, right?
Yep.
But enjoying the ride.
I mean, let's be honest.
You're ready for some turbulence.
It's not all glamorous. It's not. So
not at all.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes
that's why you have to love and really want to.
Yeah, I do love it. I mean, I'll bawl my eyes out and I'll call my mom and I'll complain to Misty, my cat, and my boyfriend. And they're like, "We know you're not quitting." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not quitting," but like, doesn't mean it's always easy.
Yeah.
Like.
You accept, and that's what I love about people out here too. Like it's just in you. Like it's just in you. Whether you want to be an actor, director, podcast, or want to do it all, it's like we all have this thing that just won't let us.
No, I'm like never gonna quit it.
And even in moments of life where I got busy with other stuff, kind of put things to the side. It's like you just feel like the pull.
Oh yeah.
Like I gotta do it.
Oh yeah, no, like acting is one I genuinely don't think I'll ever be able to completely put down, or at least working in the entertainment industry. I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like every other actor and director and producer too. But yeah.
We all love it. So we all can be together here in LA and then we podcast about it.
Exactly.
Let it out. I think this is my podcast has at least turned into a therapy session somewhere.
Stunning.
For a lot of us creatives.
We live for it.
Yeah. And before I give you the last word, I always give the guests the last word. Where can the people find you? Where can they find the podcast? Where should people go?
Yes. Okay. So the podcast is Confessions of a Wannabe It Girl. You know, I have episodes about, you know, sex and love addiction all the way to chasing your dreams and fake it till you make it mentality. it girl, want to be it girl life, whatnot. Coachella, I have that too, whatnot. So podcast is definitely the platform I show up the most at. So you can find that wherever you find your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Overcast, all those things. I don't even know them all. And then the Instagram is Confessions of a Wannabe It Girl. The TikTok is, if it's still around, is Wannabe It Girl Podcast, because that was too many letters. And yeah, and my personal is Marley Rose Freygang, but that's more at me as an actor and my personal life. So yeah.
Okay, great. And before I give you the last word, there's one more question I got to get in about Disney.
Okay, go for it. Go for it. Yes.
What are your favorite Disney rides?
Indiana Jones.
Okay.
Yeah, and Buzz Lightyear.
That is a good one.
It's a great one. I'm shameless at the I literally know where the hidden bonus point ones are. So those are my two favorite ones. Like the Buzz Lightyear one was kind of unique. So, but in Disney World, it is not as good as the one in California because it is not remodeled. So just
the one in Orlando?
Yeah, not
remodeled.
remodeled.
So it's not as good as Disneyland.
No, the Disneyland's superior Buzz Lightyear ride. And they don't have Indiana Jones in Disney World.
Oh, wow.
I know, hot topics.
So my favorite, Laura, my girlfriend, gives me crap for this, but I love Small World.
Oh, you and my mother.
Because, and look, by the way, I'll never ride Space Mountain again.
Oh, no.
It wrecked me.
Oh, no.
It just was too much. It was just too many sharp this and that. And
don't ride the Matterhorn then.
That one, too. Not riding that one either.
Yeah.
But Small World, I'm laying back. It's, entertaining. There's lots of great music.
I ride it with my mom because she has a very sweet story about how she saw it at the World Trade Center thing, not World Trade Center, World Convention or something. And so she was there the first time it ever existed, and it wasn't in Disneyland. So it has a nostalgic place in my heart, but no.
So you've been to Disneyland a lot.
Too many times. I'm a nerd.
Have you been this year for the 100-year?
No, I haven't been yet.
Oh.
Last time I went was for my mom's birthday in November, so that's the last time I was there.
Yeah, and we were talking, I think, before we were recording.
Oh, no, I went for Valentine's Day. That's PS. That's total PS. Scratch that. But no, I haven't been since it's been the 100. Yeah.
Okay, but we think we can agree the Rise of the Resistance ride, Star Wars. If you're ever in Anaheim, California.
They have it in Disney World, too.
They have the same Star Wars setup down there? I did not know that.
It's laid out different because it's in a different park, but yes, it's there.
Okay,
yeah.
That is truly. I'm not one to wait 3 hours for a ride, but if you're ever gonna wait 3 hours for a ride, it's one ride that's worth waiting.
I retweet that. Yes, yeah, it's it's worth it.
Okay, well, Marley, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a treat. Congrats on your own brand and everything you're doing with Confessions of a Wannabe It Girl. It's inspiring.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me.
Yes, and I always give the guests the last word.
Gosh.
Yeah, no pressure. It can be absolutely anything, thought on your mind, something you saw that was cool recently, philosophical, anything. What do you want to leave us with?
Oh, boy. Normally I'd come up with something deep, but right now I'm just get 7 hours of sleep. It's not the worst thing in the world to actually treat yourself to sleep. You don't need to be out there grinding and sleep depriving yourself 24/7.
I will co-sign that because I'm big on that 7 to 8 hours because if I don't get it, I do not function.
I'm a menace.
But yeah. Marley, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
See you next time. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Sam Dever podcast. Be sure to follow us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you watch the podcast, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@the Sam Dever podcast.